Hello, Forecaster here again, and we are back for episode 125. And the first thing we're going to do is have a look at my factory, which, as you might notice, have changed a little bit. So, I had a problem where I couldn't figure out how to enable multi-stage crafting. And by multi-stage crafting, I mean, of course, requesting an item that requires other items that the factory can craft. For example, we have microchips, which require transistors. So requesting a microchip would require the factory to also craft a number of transistors to enable crafting the microchip. And the problem I was having was getting those transistors back from the stamping table here back into the packagers. And the way I've solved that now is the easy way, which is this chest here with a passive provider frame on it. So I have a logistics drone assigned to this area, which is responsible for providing items to the packagers. And as you can see, for example, for the tier 1 microchip here, we have two transistors sitting in here, and the requester frame on this packager is set to request two transistors and keep them here. So what's going to happen when we request a microchip to be crafted is the factory is going to pull this package out, which is going to be our microchip, but it's also going to request two microchips, which is going to pull out of here, of course, which is going to go in here. So when we pull the microchip package out of here, it's going to use these two transistors to create a new one, which is going to wait for the next crafting opportunity, of course. And we're going to need to replace those. So two transistors are going to be pulled out and sent into the stamper and get stamped, and they're going to end up in this chest. And the drone is going to put them back in here because there will be two transistors missing from here. That way the setup will be ready for the next microchip. So that is the simple way of solving that. The hard way would have been to have a transposer underneath the packager or stamper and pull out items that match a list of components that are to be sent back into the factory because they are required for other recipes. The problems there is that would be a lot more complicated to program, and it wouldn't scale very well because it would be relatively easy with just one of these stacks with a single container. However, if I add another stack, which I've started here, and it would have its own set of packagers, I would have to have a way of identifying each stack, which would be quite a challenge. Now the logistics drone doesn't need that, of course. It doesn't really care. It only cares to fulfill the requests made by the frames, which is a lot easier. So I'm probably going to stick with that system for now, at least. Well, probably forever, actually. No point in pretending I'm going to change this later. However, we're going to do something else now. Over here, I've moved my electronics assembler, and I've prepared a bunch of crafting. So in here, I have a set of 5 processors, 5 RAM cards, 5 redstone cards, and 5 geolysers. So we're going to craft those right now. Let's put those in there. Got an achievement apparently. Let's put away that, and we're going to grab these 5 microcontroller cases. And in the electronics assembler, if we put in a microcontroller case, this is a tier 1 case of course, we can put a tier 1 CPU, a tier 1 memory card, we can put a geolyser in this upgrade slot here, like so, and then we can put in a redstone card. Now all we're missing is an EEPROM with the BIOS on it. Let's put this stuff in here. So the EEPROMs are the only things I have yet to craft. So we're going to require 5 of those, of course. And we have a bunch of leftover transistors. So we're going to need 5 of those there. Let's see. Then need 5 gold nuggets in each corner, like so. Fix that. We're going to need 10 pieces of paper, which I should have plenty over here. And we're going to need some more redstone torches, so we're going to have to go get some logs from in here. I've improved my paper production by adding a hopper underneath there, so it can produce more than a single stack between emptyings. I would like a way to get the paper over here, because it's used by the factory and quite a lot as well. So I would like... oh, we only needed 5 redstone torches. Oh well. So I would like an automated way of taking the paper over to the factory. So now we need 5 microchips, which should have a couple in here. Should be enough. Also some left over from before. And then we can make 5 EEPROMs. So we can assemble one of these, and then we're going to go over to the computer here. We're going to close that. Now in the computer, as you might not remember because it was quite a while ago that I assembled this, we have a slot for an EEPROM, and this is required. This one, it has the Lua BIOS on it, which is required to boot up the computer. These are empty. I can put one in there, and we can read and write things to this little memory card, is what it is essentially. So here is a microcontroller, and this is like a tiny computer, a very compact and simple computer. As you saw, not a lot of components went into this. It only had a single upgrade slot. In return, it doesn't use a whole lot of power, and it's relatively cheap to make. Now, it's not exactly cheap, and it's very fiddly to make all the components still, but it's cheaper and easier to make than a whole computer. So what we are going to do is we're going to have a look at a piece of code that I have. So we're going to create a file. So we're going to go edit and then scan.lua. And I'm going to paste a bunch of code that I've written already into this file. Presumably. Come on. Paste things. There we go. So this is a program I've designed to run in a microcontroller. And what it does is it uses the geolyzer inside of the microcontroller to scan the block behind the microcontroller. So we have a face here, and the back is obviously here. So it will scan this space behind this side and see if it is air or not. Now, if it is air, it is not going to do anything. However, if it is not air, it is going to output a redstone signal to the front, which is the side here. That is essentially what this program does. So we have a scan here, and 2 means the back, essentially. Then we have an if statement, which tests the scan variable and the name field. If it is Minecraft air, then set the redstone output to 0 on the front, which is number 3. If it's not air, set the output to max strength, for vanilla at least, on side 3, which is still the front. Then it will sleep for 5 seconds, and then it will loop and go back to the start and do this again, and it's going to keep doing this. So every 5 seconds is going to check what the block is and update the redstone signal accordingly. So what I'm going to use this for is I'm going to make 5 of these, of course, identical code in all of them, each with a geolyzer, of course, and I'm going to use this as a level indicator for my gasoline reservoir. So now that we have this code, let's see. Is there a way to get the list of programs on the computer? There should be a program to load code into the EEPROM. Is that one of these? Don't know. I don't remember what its name was. But there was supposed to be a program built in. Where are the programs stored exactly? In bin? Ah, here we are. Here are the programs. Let's see. Was it? It's not date. Mount. I think it was mount. So if we go mount. No, that's not it. Or is it? I put that in there. 6EF. That is not one of these. Don't think it was mount. Let's do that again. Flash. It was Flash. There we go. Okay. So we have the options. Then the file we want to copy to the EEPROM. And we can also set a label. So we want to do flash scan.lua, which is the file I saved my code, my scan program into, and then we can say fuel scanner for the label. What? File not found. Oh. Because we are not in the directory with the scan file, of course. So we need to go back to where we have it, and I did a list, and we have the scan.lua here. So this time it should work, presumably. I did already. So there we go. All done. So if we take this out, it should update the label. So we now have a fuel scanner. We're going to input another one and do the same thing again. So yes. There we go. And that will say fuel scanner as well. Unfortunately, apparently they do not stack. Now, we can... this one I assembled without an EEPROM in it, but that's alright, because if we shift right click, since it's empty, we inserted the EEPROM inside it. If it already had an EEPROM inside it, we would get that one back out. We would get the one that was inside back, and we would insert another one, whichever we were holding. We can also put it in before we assemble it, of course, which I'm going to do from now on. Almost forgot the geolyzer. You don't want to forget any of the other components, because there's no way to insert those afterwards. Only the EEPROM can be taken out and put in. So be very careful with that. We have not written to this yet, apparently. So to do that, you would have to thirsty. You would have to disassemble the microcontroller, which is not something you want to do, obviously, because you might risk, or you risk losing components when you do that. So I'm going to put in a new one. So now we have our microcontroller, another one. Have that, and one of these. And that looks correct. Then we do this again. Run flash again. Say yes. Make sure it's done, because we don't want to take it out beforehand. This uses power, of course. I pulled a cable from this light power line over to here to power this. And we're almost done with this. You and you. Looks right. And now we can write the final one. Yes. We can break this. Of course it doesn't drop anything. And also, as you can see right there in red, these cannot connect to external components. It does connect to a network though. What happened there? Oh. Now we have to put the BIOS one back inside to allow the computer to start up at all. And now we can put in the final case. And we can put this in. And we'll put the final 4 pieces together. There. Assemble that. And now I can leave it like that because I don't need to do anything more with that. So now we have a bunch of microcontrollers. Now we should have a power cable here because these need power, of course, obviously, like a regular computer. So I'm going to put a piece of redstone here. Then we right-click the microcontroller anywhere to turn it on. Seems there's an issue. Whoops. If we shift right-click it with this. Okay. 23. Seems there's an error in my code, which is annoying. Let's edit scan 23. Huh. So it can't mine this variable, which is defined over here. What if I do this? Now I need another EEPROM, because you can't take out an EEPROM without inserting another one, which is a little weird. I don't know why that is. Because if it has a card slot, I don't see why you shouldn't be able to remove the card without having to swap it. But whatever. So we're going to have to make an empty EEPROM. Fortunately, we have enough spare parts to do that. So there we go. Now we shift right click that and we get the one that is named fuel scanner. As we can see, if we swap back, we'll get the unnamed one. We can swap however much we like. So now we do that. We save this that I've changed, and then do flash, scan .lua, and then fuel scan 2. Yes. Then we take that, put that back. And now this says fuel scan 2, so we know that this is the updated one. So we can update the other ones as well. Well, crud. Why doesn't this work? Index local scan. This is odd. Pretty strange. So it's not... So the analyze function has to run these are actually useless because I can't print things because there's no screen anyway, and there's no graphics card to use a screen either. I don't know why it's doing this. Because this is not outputting an error, so it has to write something to this variable. But I don't know what. I'm going to have a look at this. It worked in my test world where I wrote this program and tested this on with an actual microcontroller. Can I not see? I would like to be able to see what's inside of it, like see what upgrades I put in. But I have had to put in all of the geolyzers because I don't have any left. So that can't be the issue. And also, if that was the case, then it would error up here where I assign the geolyzer to a variable. Don't understand what is happening. So I'm going to try to fix this in between episodes. Now it's a pretty good wrap-up point anyway. Not much else has changed. We can have a quick look at the assembly setup that I set up after last episode. If we have a look over here, so the blue one is the input and the orange one is the output, as I found out or figured out. I had to rearrange this a little bit. I tried to put one of these diagonally, and that turns out that doesn't work. The controller, however, can be anywhere, which is good, so I could move that from this position and put it over here and just put down an extra tube, which is fine. The pressure chamber is pressured, so to speak. I have a new item life upgrade in here, so I can just throw items in it and not have to worry about them expiring. We have this interface is set to extract empty PCBs, so they will go in here and be processed. Now this output actually can reach both of these chests. Fortunately, it seems to prefer this one, so the output ends up in the right chest, which is nice. I've started adding filter things to this interface. We have transistors, capacitors, and turbine blades, which I had to make the new logistics drone. And then I have my interface over here for compressed iron. I also used it to extract other random things that remained inside of the pressure chamber. I kind of wish you could there weren't particles inside of the pressure chamber. For one, I think they have a negative effect on my frame rate, obviously, and also they obscure the items inside. And the chamber is not full of steam, but that's kind of what it looks like to me. Air is supposed to be invisible, so yeah. I like the space I have here now. Not sure how stable the ceiling is. I might have to put in a pillar. Still haven't done anything with this stuff. It's still as terrible looking as it was when I constructed this place, but doesn't really matter. I won't be staying here forever anyway, because as I've said, I plan to move to a new base eventually over by the village, which means I'm going to have to move my factory, which is going to be fun. And by fun, I mean horrendous. But that should do it for this episode. We've gone over time again, as usual, but that doesn't matter. So, I will see you in the next one.